Deep in the forests of Europe, a secret door was opened after being sealed for 80 years. What scientists found inside shocked the world. Hidden beneath the ground was a forgotten Nazi lab, left untouched since World War II. Dust covered the machines, old notes lay scattered across the floor, and strange equipment still stood in place, waiting for someone to discover its purpose. This was not just another war relic. This was something darker, stranger, and more dangerous than anyone expected. The Nazis were known for chasing powerful and forbidden science. They built secret labs across Europe where scientists worked on weapons and experiments that were far ahead of their time. Many of these places were destroyed or abandoned, but this lab was different. It was sealed completely, as if the people inside never wanted the world to see what they were working on. When the door finally opened, it felt like stepping into a time capsule of fear and mystery. The air inside was heavy and strange. Rusted machines gave off an eerie glow under flashlight beams. Piles of documents showed symbols, numbers, and words that did not make sense. Some pages spoke of projects to control weather, others mentioned strange radiation tests, and some hinted at experiments that sounded like science fiction. The deeper the scientists went, the more terrifying the discoveries became. One of the first shocking finds was a giant steel chamber. Its walls were thick, and it was locked from the outside. No one knew what it was used for, but strange burn marks covered the inside. Some experts think it was used for high-energy tests, maybe even experiments with radiation or sound waves. Others believe it was something much more dangerous, something even modern science struggles to explain. On dusty tables lay glass tubes filled with unknown substances. Some were broken, their contents long evaporated, but others were sealed tight. The liquid inside still looked fresh, as if it had been placed there yesterday. Scientists carefully collected samples, worried about toxins or even biological weapons. What shocked them most was that many of the substances didn't T-match anything in modern chemical databases. It was like the Nazis were experimenting with elements the world has yet to fully understand. Hidden in a locked cabinet, researchers found strange drawings. These were not simple blueprints of machines or weapons. They showed humanoid figures, circles of light, and designs for machines that looked like flying discs. The notes suggested that the Nazis were studying anti-gravity, time manipulation, and other impossible technologies. At first, some dismissed these as fantasies, but the amount of detail, along with the equipment in the lab, made scientists wonder if the Nazis really had made progress in these forbidden fields. Even more disturbing were the records of human experiments. Faded files revealed test subjects brought to the lab with descriptions of unusual procedures. Many of the notes were incomplete, as if someone had tried to destroy the evidence before sealing the lab. But enough survived to show that people suffered greatly inside these walls. Some were exposed to extreme conditions, others to strange radiation, and some to experiments no human being should ever endure. The lab also contained advanced machines that scientists still don't fully understand. One device looked like a massive coil of copper wires connected to strange crystals. Another resembled a large metal sphere with dozens of cables leading into it. No one could explain what they were meant to do, but many believe these were early prototypes of energy weapons or experimental power sources. Seeing such advanced designs from the 1940s left scientists speechless. Perhaps the most chilling discovery was a sealed journal hidden under a floorboard. It was written by a lead scientist, and its pages spoke of pressure from Nazi officials to complete a project that would change the future of war. The scientist wrote about his fear, about things that should never be created, and finally, about his decision to hide the truth by sealing the lab. His last words were clear. This must never be opened. And yet, 80 years later, the lab has been opened. What was meant to stay buried is now out in the world. Scientists are still studying the strange chemicals, machines, and documents. But one thing is certain, this discovery proves that the Nazis were working on technology far beyond what anyone believed possible. And the question remains, how much of this lost science is still hidden, waiting to be uncovered? The discovery quickly drew attention from governments and research. Security teams were called in to guard the site, because what was inside could be more than just history. Some feared that the lab might hold secrets that could still be weaponized today. Others worried that disturbing the equipment could release unknown dangers. This was not just archaeology. This was a race against time to understand what had been left behind. As the investigation went on, experts noticed strange patterns in the lab's design. The underground tunnels were lined with unusual materials, almost like the builders wanted to block signals from escaping. Some think this was an attempt to shield their experiments from detection, or maybe even to contain something dangerous. The deeper they went, the more the structure felt less like a lab and more like a prison. One chamber contained dozens of lead-lined boxers. Inside them were crystals that pulsed faintly under UV light. No one could explain where they came from or why the Nazis had them. Some scientists suggested they were used in energy experiments, while others whispered about more bizarre theories. Crystals with unusual magnetic or even paranormal properties. Whatever they were carefully stored as if they were the most valuable thing in the lab. Old reels of film were also recovered, though many had decayed with time. A few could still be played, revealing blurry footage of men in lab coats testing strange devices. In one clip, sparks shoot wildly from a machine while the researchers scramble to control it. In another, a test subject sits inside a chamber as lights flash around him. The footage cuts out suddenly, leaving a disturbing sense that something went wrong. Then came the blueprints. Rolled-up documents revealed designs for flying craft unlike anything built in the 1940s. Circular frames, engines that did not rely on propellers, and strange notes about field propulsion. For years, rumors have circulated about Nazi experiments with flying discs, and these blueprints were the most convincing evidence yet. It suggested that what many once dismissed as myth might have had a basis in reality. In another corner of the lab, scientists uncovered maps marked with strange symbols. Some were locations across Europe, while others pointed to remote regions in the Arctic. The notes hinted that this was not the only lab, that other hidden bases existed, sealed and waiting. If that is true, then what was found here could be just the beginning of a much larger secret. The journals left behind painted a darker picture. They described how many scientists did not want to continue their work, but were forced by the regime. One chilling entry said, "We are building something that we cannot control." It showed that even those behind the projects feared the outcome of their own experiments. The fear in their words made modern readers wonder, what exactly had they seen? Another strange find was a set of biological samples carefully preserved in glass containers. Some looked like simple plants or insects, but others were harder to identify. One jar even contained what looked like tissue samples from unknown species. Were the Nazis experimenting with genetics decades before modern science? Or did they discover something else entirely? The mystery deepens with every jar. As the research team worked, some reported odd feelings inside the lab. Strange sounds echoed in the tunnels, and equipment sometimes malfunctioned for no clear reason. While skeptics dismissed this as coincidence, others believed the experiments had left behind a kind of energy that still lingers. Some even claimed the place felt alive, as if the walls themselves were holding memories of the past. The discovery of this sealed Nazi lab has left the world with more questions than answers. How much of this technology was real? How close did the Nazis come to changing the course of history with their forbidden science? And most chilling of all, if other labs still exist, what will happen when they are finally uncovered? One of the most mysterious discoveries was a machine half buried in rubble, shaped like a bell. It stood almost 3 meters tall, made of heavy metal with strange markings engraved along its sides. Some researchers immediately linked it to the infamous Nazi Die Glocke project, a rumored device said to bend gravity, distort time, or even open doorways to unknown places. For decades, stories about Die Glocke were dismissed as legend, but standing before this machine, scientists began to wonder if the legends were true. The device was heavily damaged, as if someone had tried to destroy it before sealing the lab. But fragments of notes nearby described experiments that involved high levels of radiation, rotation, and an energy source, not of this Earth. These words sent chills through the research team. Was this a hint that the Nazis had found something they should never have touched? The more evidence piled up, the clearer it became that the lab was not only a place of science, but also of obsession. The Nazis were desperate to find a weapon or discovery that could give them control over the future. They were willing to cross every boundary of ethics, humanity, and even nature itself. The lab's artifacts were proof of that hunger for ultimate power. One room in particular seemed different from the rest. It was circular, with walls covered in metallic plates. At its center was a platform that looked designed for testing energy or objects in mid. Some researchers suggested it was meant for experiments with anti-gravity. The unsettling part was the burn marks on the walls, as if something powerful had once been unleashed in that chamber. Among the ruins were also letters sent between top Nazi officials. They spoke urgently about keeping the project hidden from Allied forces, and warned of catastrophic results if it failed. The secrecy around this project was extreme, even by wartime standards. Only a handful of the highest-ranking officers and scientists knew about it. That level of secrecy itself speaks volumes about how dangerous it might have been. What surprised scientists most was how much of this technology seemed ahead of its time. Ideas about anti-gravity, genetic modification, advanced energy weapons, and even weather control sounded like science fiction in the 1940s. Yet here they were, sketched out, half-built, and hidden away. If the war had lasted longer, who knows what the Nazis might have unleashed on the world. But perhaps the most terrifying thought is this. What if some of these ideas survived? What if the documents, stolen or hidden, inspired secret projects after the war? History tells us that both the United States and the Soviet Union took Nazi scientists and their research after World War II. Could some of these strange discoveries have been quietly continued in hidden programs? Even today, intelligence agencies refuse to confirm the full extent of what was recovered. Some documents remain classified, fueling speculation that the world has not been told the whole truth. Was the Nazi lab sealed simply to bury dangerous technology, or was it part of a larger secret that stretches into the present day? The sealed lab is now considered one of the most important and disturbing archaeological finds of the 21st century. It is not just a relic of war. It is a reminder of how far humanity can go when driven by obsession, fear, and the lust for power. Each discovery inside raises new fears about what might still be hidden in other forgotten bunkers across the world. In the end, the lab is both a warning and a mystery. A warning of how dangerous unchecked science can become, and a mystery that may never be fully solved. The scientists who opened that door 80 years too late found more than just history. They found proof that some secrets were never meant to be uncovered. And as more is revealed, the question remains. Should humanity learn from these discoveries? Or should some knowledge stay buried forever?